let's ship some shoes. Whether you're shipping some heaters, some bricks, or even some shoes without the box, I got you. Don't be that guy taping up the shoebox or slapping a label directly on top of the shoebox. When I see people taking the actual shoebox and putting tape on them, slapping the label on it and shipping it away, it makes me absolutely cringe. I don't care what the value of a pair of shoes is. I don't want to see a shipping label or tape on my shoebox. Now, especially whenever it comes to heaters. These boxes have value. That's why whenever you go to list these shoes on resale apps, it asks you the condition of the box. Collectors want their box to be in good condition because it affects the value of the shoe. So be mindful of that whenever you're shipping your shoes. Now, the way that I ship my shoes really dwindles down to the value of the shoe. If I have a pair of bricks and they're valued under 75 bucks, I'm shipping them in a poly mailer. If you sell on eBay shoes that are under $75, don't go to the authentication center. They go straight to the end consumer. Plus, they're relatively cheap. Cheap shoes means cheap resale margins, and therefore I'm going to ship these the cheapest way possible. Now, unlike the hype shoes, people don't care as much about the box condition whenever it comes to bricks. Now, I'm still not going to tape up the box and put a shipping label on the box. Instead, I'm going to use a poly mailer. I've found out that the 19 by 14.5 poly mailers are perfect for almost any size sneaker. I've been able to fit women's size, grade school size, all the way up to a men's size 13 in these poly mailers. At most, you might have to put a piece of tape over the top of them to get it to seal up correctly, but 99 times out of 100, I haven't had any issues at all. That's super simple. In my packaging videos, you guys have seen me use poly mailers a countless number of times. Literally just slide it inside of the poly mailer, take the adhesive off, package it up, just like that. Slap your label on the front, ready to go. Now, whenever it comes to sneakers with no box, I may do the same thing, but again, I'm keeping in mind the value of the shoe. If these are required to send to eBay authentication, then I'm going to put them in a box. If they're being authenticated and they're high enough value that they require to be authenticated, I can afford to pay the extra couple bucks for shipping, and they're going to go in a box. They're going to be treated a little bit better, being a higher value shoe. Now, if they're not going to the authentication center and they're a lower value shoe, I'm still probably going to put these directly in a poly mailer. If anything, since they don't have a box, they can fit in a smaller mailer. I might slide them directly into a bubble mailer, just like this. Now, believe it or not, this bubble mailer is listed as the same size as the poly mailer that I just showed you guys. They do actually end up being a little bit smaller just because of the bubbles inside. They provide a little bit more protection, but you're not going to be able to fit an entire shoebox in these. I use these for packaging things I need to be a little bit more careful with. And if these shoes do so happen to fit inside of a bubble mailer, I'll go ahead and do that for a little bit more protection. As you guys know, our packages don't always get handled with care. The poly mailers may puncture. At least the shoes that are in a box are safe. These will help out the shoes that are not in a box get to the end consumer a little more safely. Same deal with these. I put them in the poly mailer just like they would be in a shoebox. Straight inside, take the adhesive off, put the label on the front. Now, whenever it comes to the hype shoes, the high value shoes, whether that be designer, retros, Yeezys, I don't care, whatever it is, if it's a higher value sneaker, it needs to go in a shipping box. This shouldn't even really have to be a PSA. It's sad that it does, but a lot of these shoes that you see behind me are valued anywhere from like $200 to $400. If your customer is spending that much money on a pair of sneakers, it needs to go in a shipping box. Not to mention, most of these platforms that you're selling your sneakers on are going to require them to go in a box anyways. I save most of my shipping boxes, but I also have a link in the description below for the perfect box sizes that you need to ship just about any size sneaker. They cost like $1 or less per box. When you're selling a $200, $300, $400 and up sneaker, that $1's not going to be missed. If these sold today, I would put them in a shipping box just like this. If there's a little bit of wiggle room, no big deal. You can always put some paper or some other packing. If you have those air pocket pouches, you can put them along the side, some bubble wrap, or just the brown packing paper that you get with some of your packages. Of course, once you have them in there securely, we're going to fold up the tabs, tape that all together, and your label goes on the outside of the shipping box. Some sneaker reselling platforms require a packing slip. If you do have a packing slip, that goes inside the box with the shoes. I repeat, the packing slip goes inside the shipping box with the shoes. Label goes on the outside of the shipping box. I've also found that some tapes are better than others. If you don't have good packing tape, make sure you put an extra couple pieces across the entire center of the box. That way it doesn't come loose. Your shoes are secure. You don't want any issues from point A to point B. Now, something that I mentioned before, shoes without a box, some of them may be higher value. If they are, put them in a shipping box. Give them a little bit extra wrapping so that they're not jostling around inside of the shipping box, or even give them a replacement box. If you have some old boxes laying around, shoe boxes that is, go ahead and put those shoes in a replacement box to give them a little more protection. Your customer will appreciate it. Add some extra packing, throw those in a box. I would just keep the rule of thumb that if eBay requires shoes $75 and up to go to an authentication center, then once you hit that $75 point, you should probably start considering shipping your shoes a little more safely. Use your best judgment. If you wouldn't want the shoes showing up to you in a certain packaging, don't use the same yourself and send it to your customer. If you guys have any questions about packing, shipping, supplies, any of that, drop those in the comments below. As I said before, I do have some of the supplies linked in the description below. It's the same stuff that I use myself. My DMs are open on IG as well. The handle is the same, at AllABSneakers. Thank you guys for tuning in, and do not forget, this is all about sneakers.